The coronavirus could easily have been stopped. All we had to do was shut down people coming into the country. All we had to do was strengthen our borders. All we had to do was disinfect all of the goods coming into the country. All we had to do was bring Americans back home and quarantine them until we understood what this disease was and how best to treat it. All we had to do was follow a few simple steps to ensure public health, and no one was able to do this. The government, the World Health Organization, all of these people that were involved in this process completely dropped the ball due to money. There's no way around this. They did not want people speaking out against the Chinese. They do not want to hold the Chinese accountable for what they've done. They do not want to inconvenience world trade or any of these things. These people did not care enough about the population, the world population, really. They were not honest about to us from the beginning, and even now, I think they're downplaying it somewhat. I don't really read the news, but just a couple of weeks ago, people were still saying it's just a flu, bro, when that clearly is not the case now. United States is now in a state of emergency. Neighboring states have over 100,000 cases. There are all these problems. The market's down. There's all these issues could easily have been avoided had you taken a few simple steps. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to survive Corona. I myself am not infected. For all I know, this glass of water could be full of it. But I am going to try to survive it. I am going to try to thrive in it. And I am going to push. I am going to ask the people, the survivors of America, I should say, the people who are still alive after this pandemic, for that's what this is. This is why, one of the reasons why we need stricter borders. This is why we need to control who's coming into the country. This is why we need to be alert. This is why we need to be aware. This is why we need to be able to take care of ourselves. And I do think that's the big step here. And one of the reasons I think I'm a bit more confident than most people who are struggling with this the virus and how this is going to affect them. Assuming I survive the plague, the pandemic itself, and I fully intend on going out there and continuing living my best life. And you can't look at this situation and seeing all these people sick and just give up, essentially. What we have to think of now is not only how are we going to live from 1 week to a month to a year to 5 years to 10 years. We need to look past that. Like, how are things going to look like hundreds, thousands of years from now? Like, years, centuries after we're dead. Like, from natural causes. Well, I suppose disease is a natural cause, or otherwise. Like, how are things going to look then? And we really do need to acknowledge that this idea of global trade, of all these things, of open borders, of the government taking care of every need of the population, it's not reasonable. You should absolutely be working to become independent. You should be working to make your own money, to take care of yourself, to be able to handle all of these situations yourself. After this entire epidemic and seeing how incompetent people are, assuming I survive this, Uh, I'll be studying virology. I will be studying all these things to prevent myself and others from getting sick or being affected by the sick in any way. I'm taking initiative for myself and for those around me. And I think that needs to be done on a local level everywhere. You should be, well, primarily focusing on surviving the incoming plague, which is inevitable at this point. You should be focused on that. And you should be focused on how to improve your life once everything is said and done. You should be aware that this idea that the government is looking out for you, that it's going to take care of you, that it's going to someday decide to pay for your health care, give you money, take care of you, that is simply not going to happen. It's just, not only is it not realistic, it's straight up impossible. It is not going to happen. The only reason things are happening now is because of the economic issues. It has nothing to do with the people at all. The elites are primarily concerned with themselves and how the plague is going to affect their bottom line. Like, some of them are even getting sick. World leaders are getting sick. That's the only reason the media is admitting that anything is wrong. That some people have gotten sick, and it should have been obvious to anyone who's been following this situation that this was going to be a nightmare. It just goes to show you that you straight up cannot trust what these people tell you on the news. Like, how many people straight up lied to us about this virus? You had the Chinese, you had the World Health Organizations. I knew people personally telling me it was just a flu, bro. You know, people in the actual medical field, they were straight up misleading all of these people, all of these results, all this testing in order to push this narrative that, like, ooh, everything's going to be fine, we're going to take care of it. No. They're not going to take care of it. They're never going to do that. So it's up to you, my fellow Americans, to go out there and, stay at home for now, probably, if you can do that. Just go out there, become independent, acknowledge that there is a problem with our system, and refuse to allow these kind of policies to continue. There should be active demand, among other things, to prevent American companies from manufacturing in China, to strengthen our borders and prevent people from coming over, especially in times of plague. These are really policies that should have been implemented a long time ago, but were refused or ignored in order to benefit corporations and companies and rich people, when that's not really what the priority should have been. We should always have been concerned about the public health of the people of America, and it's sad to me that the government has failed us this hard. It is completely ridiculous at how hard they've dropped the ball in containing this thing. Because it really should have been simple. Keep it in China. Don't allow travel. Disinfect everything coming into the country. And now they are paying the price. But that's them, and we are not them. So I am going to do my best to try and make the best out of a terrible situation, no matter what. I am going to push on. I am going to do everything I can to succeed and thrive and hopefully create a better tomorrow for our children. So until then, stay safe out there, everyone. Definitely try looking into basic health care. Stay away from people who are sick, and I will hopefully see you all next time.